Hello, this is Mrs. Taylor, and I'm going to show you how to solve a quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. In this case, our answer will be complex, which means our final answer will have an I in it. Remember, I equals the square root of -1. So I went ahead and wrote down the quadratic formula. Opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Remember, a is the number in front of the squared term, b is the number in front of the linear term, just an n or an x, and c is the number, the constant at the end, has no variable. Now, one of the requirements for us to use the quadratic formula is that the equation equals 0. And in this case, it doesn't, it equals -6. So I've got to take care of that first. And it's really easy. All I have to do is add 6 to both sides to make sure that I have 0 on the right. So 3n squared plus 2n, let's see, -1 plus 6 would be +5 equals 0. So now I have the perfect setup for the quadratic formula. So opposite of b would be -1 times b, which would be a -2 plus or minus the square root of b squared, which would be 2 squared, minus 4a, which would be the 3, c, which would be 5, all over 2a. Okay, the first thing I want to do is simplify my radicand. So I could do this in my head. I could square the 2, multiply 4 times 3 times 5, and then subtract the 2. Or I could just plug it in my calculator. If you aren't confident with the arithmetic in your head, I encourage you to use your calculator. Enter it, parentheses and all. So 2 squared, then minus 4, parentheses 3, and then parentheses 5. Just like that. Gives me -56. So I'm already seeing that I'm going to have a complex answer, a complex solution, because I have a square root of a negative number. And then also, after I simplify the radicand, I can also multiply the denominator together to get 6. All right, so I need to simplify this radical. And so over here to the side, I'm going to factor the square root of -56. And remember, anytime the radicand's negative, I can rewrite it with an I out front to get rid of that negative. And then I don't have to worry about it when I'm factoring. All right, factors of 56, 8 and 7. 8 will factor into 4 and 2, so there's my perfect square factor. If I wanted to keep going, I could factor it and find the pair of 2's, or I could just take the square root of 4. What's left over is the 2 and the 7. So that means that I need to have a 2 on the outside and then multiply the 2 and 7 together for my radicand, the number on the inside. And so when I substitute that back into my equation, or my expression here, it's -2 plus or minus 2i square root of 14 over 6. And then I also have to reduce fractions. So 2 over 6 reduces to 1/3 for both of these cases. And remember, I don't reduce the radicand. It stays 14 for my final answer. So that would be -1 plus or minus, and then this would reduce to 1. Well, 1 times I is just I. So I'm just going to write I square root of 14 over 3. And so that would be my answer to this quadratic equation, my solution for solving. And it's a complex solution because it involves I.